we record these meetings for folks who are unable to attend but want to tune in and see what we're talking about. So welcome, y'all. My name is Andrew. I work for the Oregon Community Food Systems Network, and super excited today to be bringing this group back together, our farm viability subgroup of the Farming for the Future working group. And I hope your fall is going awesome. I use he, him pronouns. And I think we'll start off with we'll start off with some introductions. We have new folks here in the room that haven't joined us, and just take a moment here for each of us to introduce ourselves. Let's use our names, our pronouns, organizations that we work for. You can say your position if you feel like that, and then my prompt is my last minute thinking of a kind of an icebreaker prompt is if you are planning on a Halloween celebration or a costume, you can share that if you'd like. My family and I are all dressing up as birds. I'm going to be a crow. My daughter will be a kingfisher, and my partner is going to be a kestrel. So we're having a bird themed Halloween this year. And so yeah, and I'm going to pass it to a really exciting new group, someone to our group who is not new, but is new in the sense of she now is working for the Oregon Community Food Systems Network as our regional food business coordinator, which is super awesome. Her first day was yesterday, so hitting the ground running. We're talking all sorts of stuff, but let's give an awesome welcome with her new position, Tanya Murray. Yay!
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for saying my title because I have to practice still. So yes, I'm excited to be starting this new role. And just to share for any folks that have been involved in Know Your Cost to Grow work that I was doing in the past, I'm actually keeping some of that work on for the short term with TILF on a contract basis. So that's not vanishing. And so I'm still getting email that way or using my TILF email that way, but trying to switch over to a new OCFSN email for all other things. So I will communicate with you with different hats on. And also wanted just to thank Rich because he is taking over one of my projects that I was previously working on with hazelnuts. So I'll just stop with that, but I'm really happy to be here. She, her pronouns, and I have not figured out a costume yet, but last year I was a mythical bird, which someday I'll wear my costume for a meeting maybe. And I'll pass it to Sylvia.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, Tanya. It's so exciting for your new role. Sylvia Costa, Friends of Family Farmers. I use she, her pronouns. And I haven't thought about dressing up for Halloween yet. So thanks, Andrew, for the reminder. I'll start thinking about it. But the bird sounds like a fun thing. I will pass it to Sage.
Thanks, Sylvia. Hi, everyone. My name is Sage Fairman. I use she, her pronouns, and I am now transitioning roles at Atlantic to be the market access manager. So overseeing the farmers market programming and farm to pantry programming, in addition to access to farmland and other sales channels. So for Halloween, no set plans yet either. I'm in the same boat as Sylvia of deciding what to do. So going to a thrift store today and seeing if I can get something together. And I'll pass it to Penny.
Hi, I'm Penny Feltner. I use she, her pronouns, and I manage the Working Lands program in the South Willamette Valley. I wish I could say I was planning a spectacular Halloween costume. I have not had any time to think about it. I will probably make something at the last minute out of construction paper. Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, everybody. Jeffrey here from Rogue Farm Corps, he, him pronouns, Future Farms program. Yeah, I have been really slow on this. Don't have a costume. My best thought is borrowed from somebody else, which is to be the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. My dog would be the lion, and I would be the witch or the wardrobe, and my partner would be the witch or the wardrobe. That's the best I have, but honestly, it sounds involved. At least just making the wardrobe. So we'll see. We'll see. Got some time to think about it. I will pass it over to my colleague Jennifer.
Hey everyone, Jennifer Hamilton, Co-Executive Director at Rogue Farm Corp, she, hers. And we haven't quite figured out this year, but last year we were all mushrooms and we had these epic mushroom costumes, which worked really well for last year. So my daughter was an inky mushroom, and we just got thrift stores, you get lampshades. And they, last year here in Portland, it rained. So it was our first Halloween, it was torrential, and our little hats worked really well as like mini umbrellas. So we still had a great time trick-or-treating. So we'll have to think. I think we're going along the lines of like nymphs and spirits this year, but we get pretty epic into our costumes. So great question. Let's see, I'm gonna look, I'm assuming the list has D gone? All right, D, I'm gonna toss it to you. That was, he's already gone? They've already gone? Okay, sorry. Who has not gone?
No, sorry, I haven't gone, but my audio's funky, so I texted everything in the chat. So you probably couldn't hear me very well, so I'm just sticking a chat for now. And yeah, D Thompson, my unmuted.
Thanks, D. Let's go to Jordan DeLauder.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan DeLauder. I'm a conservation planner with the Clackamas Soil and Water Conservation District. My first time joining this group. I use they, them pronouns, and for Halloween, I think I'm going to be a worker bee. So I'm going to like wear workwear, like Carhartt, and then get wings and antennas. It's kind of easy. Oh yeah, let me pass it on to Nellie.
Thanks, Jordan. Hi, everybody. Nellie McAdams with Oregon Agricultural Trust. And Andrew, I just have to say, one of my friend's daughter's name is Kestrel, and he likes to call her a shrieking bird of prey. So you can maybe use that one on your daughter. But we have a hand-me-down pumpkin for my son. He's going to wear that. My husband is going to wear a pumpkin Hawaiian shirt, and I'm going to be a mother goddess with just a dress and a crown. So keeping it simple. Maya Rose, have you gone yet?
I haven't, thank you. Hi everyone, Maya, she, her pronouns. I work with Business Impact Northwest doing business and financial planning for farmers and food businesses. I'm also in the like last minute Halloween costume camp, but I will be at Tilth Conference up in Fort Townsend around that time. So I'm looking forward to maybe finding some festivities going on up there. I'll pass it to Alice.
Hi all, I'm Alice Morrison. She, her pronouns. I work for Friends of Family Farmers. Excuse me. I don't have a costume planned. I usually just like, I am big on having a bonfire at Halloween. I don't know. I more associate it with bonfire than anything else at this point. But I have a costume that I use when in doubt. I made it when I was like 17, and it's a carrot, but it's just a triangle shaped orange fleece poncho pretty much, and a hat. And my joke is that I drink every time someone calls me a pumpkin. So there you go. I think that who hasn't gone yet? I will call on Christina.
Hi, she's farmer.
Christina, you're cutting out a little bit.
Better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Great. I'm Christina, she, her pronouns, Friends of Family Farmers, Farmland Navigator, also on the OCFSN leadership team. I'm gonna go as what I always go, a scary white middle-aged lady with really aggressive dogs that scare the bejesus out of all the trick-or-treaters. So fun. Andrea, did you go?
Not yet. Thanks, Christina. Andrea Kramer, Education Program Director, Oregon Agricultural Trust. She, her pronouns. Halloween's not really widely celebrated in my household for some strange reason. Probably it's in the middle of hunting season and like there's just a lot of shuffling going on. So that's all I got. So maybe next holiday. I'll come up with something better for the next holiday, I promise. Rich, I think you're next.
Hey everybody, Rich Schwartz. I'm an independent consultant that I call my business Alder Street Consulting, and I'm based in Portland, and I use he, him pronouns. And on Saturday, my partner and I are headed to South Africa for a big vacation. So on Halloween, I think we'll actually be in Swaziland, or Eswatini as it's now called, on Halloween. And I am very much going to be an American tourist in Africa for Halloween. So. And is there anybody
I
who hasn't?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think we got everybody. Silket's here. Her information is in the chat.
Okay.
And yeah, so great. Thank you all. So we wanted to kind of start off the meeting, kind of regroup as a subgroup here. We haven't made a lot of progress on our last conversation a couple months ago, in part with Tanya making this transition. We've to the OCFSN and helping with the Oregon State team and the Regional Food Business Center. That's taken up a lot of time and just focus in making that happen. But I think we wanted to kind of start with some updates on that process with the Regional Food Business Center for you all, and Tanya sharing a bit on her new position. We put the link to the new website that I just found out about yesterday for that business center. I'll put it in the chat as well. So you mind if I hand it off to you, Tanya?
No, that's great.
Cool.
I will just say first that I'm totally still learning, like literally this is my second day in this new position. But the regional food business centers, if you hadn't heard about them yet, are USDA funded centers. They're not physical centers. There are 12 of them around the country. And Oregon is a co-lead on the Northwest Rocky Mountain, one of those 12, which is a 6-state region. I'll let you look at the site to get them because I won't get them all on the top of my head. But the idea really is to build capacity for farmers and food businesses and kind of grow the more regional food supply chain. And the main objective focus areas of the center, really, this is where I think there's a lot of tie-in to this group, is one, kind of assessing what is already happening on the ground, and then trying to really strengthen that existing capacity in different ways to serve farmers, with definitely a focus on business development. And so I will keep you all in the loop as I learn more about what that really means that we can do together. I will say that there, I think, is really direct tie-in to the skills worksheet that we started a few meetings ago. So I wanted to circle back to that and kind of give you an update on where I see that fitting in, and then ask for some input around how we can kind of take the next step with it. So just some background for folks that weren't on that meeting, but gosh, in maybe, I don't know, June, May, like a long time ago, we had a meeting, and I think we were planning to meet with Rose Highbear to give some potential support with developing a program that was a business development program for growers that she was working with. I think I'm more or less getting this right, but anyone else feel free to jump in. She wasn't able to make that meeting, but we switched gears and sort of used the time to start to inventory, the business development, business technical assistance support that we each deliver to farmers. And so that was a in the moment kind of document that we started to create, which Andrew just shared the link to. It's definitely got a lot going on and it still needs some cleaning up. And that is on my to-do list, but I haven't gotten to it again since in my transition role. So if it's something that you haven't added to and you want to, the loose format was really just adding your name and adding different skills that you have to offer in the realm of business technical assistance. And if you're not sure what that means, I would say for now, you can just throw it in. And then I think it has it on there, but there's like a 5-to-1 scale, with 5 being like, I'm ready to teach this tomorrow. I think I'm remembering that right. Versus 1, like, I might kind of know a little bit about this. This was really intended initially to be an internal document to kind of assess, kind of inventory what we have, what we don't have, where we need to build our skills together, and not initially to be an external document, but it did spur some excellent conversations. I know Penny offered some great suggestions, and I think a few other folks around long-term, how might we create some kind of self-referral system for farmers and food businesses that could access this. And I think that certainly could be on the horizon. And I think we're still in this really early stage of like, what do we do and where are the gaps? And then I think along the capacity building lines, the other piece of that is in terms of gaps, like where are there areas that maybe we were a 1, but we want to be a 5, right? So like, are there areas where you're working on developing some kind of skill around delivering business technical assistance? And that's something that I think this group has a lot of potential to talk about. So I'll pause there and just see if there's any questions about that process, where folks can plug in, and then kind of circle back to like some next steps with it. Questions, thoughts? I'm going to pull my screen down because it's actually too sunny. Who would think?
And even questions regarding, we're still in early stages of your position in the RFBC, but any questions around that too. Jennifer.
I just want to make sure I understand, is this per the individual or per the organization as a whole?
That's a good question. I don't know that we even fully defined that. I mean, I think what we're looking for is like, yeah, what's being offered. And I guess I would say you within the organization, if that makes sense. So if you're really skilled at business planning, but you don't do that at all in your current position, that probably doesn't make as much sense to include. But if someone feels strongly it should be on there, then maybe just note that that's the case.
So multiple people from the same organization can fill it out.
I think that's fine. I mean, especially because there could be, a variety of things that different people do.
Is the scope of this inventory confined to network organizations, or is it like what is available in the region to farmers?
I mean, I think ultimately that we're going to want to understand what's available more broadly, but maybe for now, just keeping it with network organizations and who's here to add to it. But yes, I think, there will be a look at what else is out there. And yes, you can add more skill areas if you have them and would like to.
Well, maybe I'll just ask, because this is the first one of these calls I've made it to. So I don't see anything on the skill area specifically related to sort of like culturally specific skills or traditionally what are called soft skills, but are really, really important, and soft sort of demeans how important they are. And yeah, I don't know. So has that conversation been had, or could those sorts of things be added?
I don't know if we've had it, and I think it would be fine to add that. I mean, we got into a little bit of the nuance in our last meeting, talking about adding some like, I would say more like some information around the how things are delivered versus the actual like skill that's being delivered, if that makes sense. But it sounds like you're talking about actual skills, not the like cultural, delivering them in a culturally competent way. Is that right?
Yeah, but yeah.
Yes. Which both need to be layered into there. And that sort of, I'll say, because it connects to this, like the next piece of information that I think we talked about last time a bit, and I'm not sure what the best way to layer it in would be, and would love to get input on, is more around like the how. So who do you work with? How, like when you, if you're saying, oh, I can do business planning support, for example, does that mean that like you work with anyone that knocks on your door, or is that limited to farmers in a certain program, farmers in your region, farmers, are you serving a certain segment of farmers? And so that will be something we will want to add on as a layer to this. And I guess in terms of ways that could get added, I mean, we could add lots of categories to the sheet. That's a possibility. Andrew suggested creating a Google form, which I think might be a better way to organize things. I don't know if I'll have the capacity to do this, but I'd also be interested in potentially meeting with people just to like talk and learn and sort of document things that way. And so I did just want to open it up to the group and see if anyone has any thoughts or ideas on what makes sense on that, because I'm just, yeah, making this up as I go along. How about this? If there were a form, Google form survey that came out, would that be easier to respond to than something more open-ended for you? One thumbs up. Yeah, give it a thumbs up or some thumbs up. All right.
Alice, good question there in the chat, Tanya, and it was regarding succession planning. It's a really great question, Alice. I don't know that it is completely outside the scope in my thought process. I don't think it was the intended initial scope, but that doesn't necessarily mean it shouldn't be added. I think this initially started, I don't even know what questions prompted the initial starting of this, but it was more of like the financial analysis piece for me is what kind of started my ask of these things. So I don't think anything is necessarily outside the scope in its entirety. So good question. Maybe it should be added.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think where, at least in my mind, there are no hard lines. It's like a farm business, like production is part of the business, but I think that is sort of maybe a clear spot to say, like, not that obviously isn't something that's needed, but that this isn't focused on production, but focused more on the business management part of it, but it does seem like succession falls into that. The question around the thumbs up was just clarity or looking for input on if you would respond to a survey Google form to give some more information about the how that you deliver the programming or the technical assistance that you shared that you have skills at. And yes, okay. Thanks for that, Dee. Andrew, what else do we need to talk about on this?
if people feel good, I think that's a good update. And just as kind of a grounding of this, we're part of it is making sure that we're capturing what the folks in Oregon are providing as far as business technical service assistance to be able to communicate that with the RFBC, see if there's opportunities for funding to expand this service, getting your information and referral through the RFBC. I think it's like making sure that we're clear that this is helping us be prepared as that programming develops around this new opportunity, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. And then I think you touched on an important point. I can go back, and Alice, you're here. I added this, how this connects to the CAF program, this worksheet, and the referral questions. We had a really interesting discussion in one of those meetings with that group, the Capital Assistance for Local Farms RFSP application, and referrals came up in there too. So this work has been, kind of been crossing over multiple areas where people are collaborating on different projects. So it's definitely important to how we coordinate as a group of folks providing these services. So the next kind of topic we wanted to bring up is this idea that you brought to me and some others, Tanya, before applying and getting this new position, was about a potential Western SARE grant to do some professional development for folks in this group and others interested, to getting some more skills that kind of a train the trainer on things like farm accounting, QuickBooks training, to be able to then support your the populations that you work with. So wanted to just make sure we captured that in the group, that's an idea out there, seeing if there's any interest.
Yeah, and so an update, because I know I've talked to a couple people about this, and Maya and I and Jeffrey and I spoke about it, and I think where we landed, just partly because the capacity was deciding not to go for the Western SARE professional development program funding for that right now, because there just wasn't time to pull that together. But we also explored a little bit of like who we could go to for that kind of support. And it sounded like Julia Shanks is someone who would be interested, and Poppy Davis is also a potential resource. And so I think it's something that can happen, but from my perspective, needs to be kind of put on a little bit of a back burner, but I don't want to lose that thread. So for anyone that's interested, let's keep it alive. And also I think from the folks that I did talk to, that it's probably a better summer thing for us anyway. So if we can make sure to keep it alive enough to think about doing something like that in a different season, that could be better. And the idea there, which I think could be relevant, kind of tying back to this skill inventory, is, if there is something that you would like to be delivering, but feel like the capacity within the organization and the skills just aren't quite at a point where you're ready to. My question would be what are those things, and what kind of training could we source out for folks in the group to get there? Because I'm guessing there's going to be some gaps in the kind of support that we offer that we'd like to fill.
Who's that other resource? Poppy?
Sorry, Poppy Davis. She did some work in the past with the Ag in the Middle Accelerator, and she's now doing some trainings. Actually, Maya, are you doing the training with her? Do you want to share anything about that?
Yeah, so I'm actually on week 3 with her. And if anyone's heard of Northwest Agricultural Business Center up in Skagit, they have a Resilerator program that they ran last year, and Poppy Davis was leading that. So I audited that as a provider, but it was really intended for farmers. And so now I'm taking it from a train the trainer kind of perspective. And it's good. It's really dense. We were actually just talking about accounting issues today. So like I would be happy to share forward anything I learned from that class. And or if they plan to offer it again, I would recommend it. But something about this, Tanya, that has been really appealing to me, like as we've talked about possibly getting more support around our own skills with bookkeeping, is just the idea of, I guess, standardizing in some sense, or creating systems that we can carry across kind of collectively, so that we kind of understand what each other is doing, or what each of us is doing with clients, and kind of have that like structured training and structure going forward that makes us all feel probably more confident helping people. So I don't know how that lands with other people. Of course, every client is unique, and I think we all understand that, and we would all be able to still meet people where they are, but some process I think could be helpful with certain skills.
Yeah, and I think one of the advantages of that specifically in the bookkeeping space for folks that are looking at numbers that I think we identified is like, then if we're ending up working with people, like if a farmer ends up working with several different entities, it just is a little easier to like kind of know like where their numbers came from, or just have some kind of understanding across organizations.
Great. Does that bring any other thoughts from the group? Some interest in this idea, building up skills? And that's
I think there's a lot of value in that. Adopted common tools, establishing standards for service, but I think it also opens the possibility for developing those tools together and refining them together and making improvements to them together. Having a community of practice around how those tools are used and how the services are delivered. I think there are benefits at a lot of levels in attempting that.
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning kind of some of the best practice stuff that I don't know for sure.
But we'll keep the accounting conversation going for sure. And if someone else has interest and a lot of, finds yourself with a lot of time on your hands to move it forward, please do. So
maybe we can make some time in the next meeting to drill down on this, or yeah, I don't have something to offer for a next step on this. If you are interested and want to reach out post meeting, we can make sure to connect those folks if I'm hearing from multiple people, but we can keep it on this agenda so it doesn't get lost. Great. And then our final agenda item for today, we wanted to make sure we kind of revisited a really interesting conversation we had last meeting. Kind of spread out into multiple directions, but kind of touching on this. It was a two-part thing, and I picked one here, but it really was struggles in communicating farm viability work, the tension between business languages and business, talking about business programming with folks who might not be as interested in the technicals of those, but looking for support and supporting their businesses. And then also we went into a conversation about just the struggles around the teaching farm viability, and Jeffrey, you had some really strong things to say last time regarding that I thought was really important to make sure we continued through. And yeah, I have just a couple of notes here. I kind of want to just open it up to y'all who are the experts who are, you know, struggling with these conversations. And maybe we jump straight to Christina. You added a nice comment here at the end of these kind of thoughts regarding the Cosmos workshops, financial education for other worlds. Would you mind kind of sharing what's prompted this addition?
Yeah, I got connected to this group through following Aorta, who some of you all might follow, the Anti-Oppression Resource Training Alliance. Autumn Brown from Aorta did a co-workshop with some of the accountants from the Bookkeeping Co-op on speculative science fiction and budgets. It was amazing. It blew my mind, I have to say. And, you know, the message that I took away was that all budgets are creative works of science fiction. And I love science fiction. And just talk about a group of really diverse people who love numbers and love coming up with language about how to make that feel safer to other people. So after doing a one-off sort of seminar with them, I did a 4-part series that this group, the Bookkeeping Co-op, holds does, and it was great. It was just a really supportive framework. I feel like probably other than budgets as works of creative fiction, the piece I really took away was that, you know, budgets are just another way of you know, allocating our resources, and resource language, you know, whether it's, you know, looking at the kinds of powers we have or don't have and how we allocate our time and our love and our money. Like budgets do all of those things. And so they just had really supportive language around that that felt very welcoming to me. So I feel like it would appeal. There was not a farmer focus on it. In fact, their workshops are more geared towards nonprofits. But I feel like for anyone who's interested in learning ways to talk about budgets and accounting practices that are a little more open, they're a really great resource.
Do you think that if we could get someone from that group to do like some kind of training with us, like that it would, I guess what I'm curious about is like, could you imagine them giving you some skills, us some skills, as in language to use in our work to describe providing business support? Like that's kind of what I think we were thinking about. And maybe it's not as direct on their part. Maybe it's more like we're translating that, but do you see that as something that we could pursue?
I mean, they're a cooperative with a group of cooperative owners with wide interests. So I imagine that there would be some real overlap, and they're certainly interested in sharing out about what they do and how they work. So I hope so. I mean, is the answer, I guess. Yeah, I'd be happy to coordinate with you, Tanya, or with somebody about kind of approaching them and seeing, maybe clarifying what an ask would be, and question if anybody in this group would have money to pay them for that kind of a, if they hosted a webinar, if they hosted something for us that was a train the trainer in working with clients around, really tricky financial / personal / everything issues.
That's great. I mean, it sounded like exactly what at least like I was thinking about when I posed the question. I also spoke with, I talked to Juliet Shanks about several things, but she also teaches or has done a presentation workshop that she calls something like money shaming, which is kind of getting at some of the roadblocks that people have around looking at budgets and their financial situation, connected to some feelings that people can have about money, which I think is a totally relevant topic, but is a little different than what I was initially like kind of bringing up. And it sounds like what the Cosmos workshop folks are doing is closer, if those were things that, like, I wouldn't want to steal their science fiction budget thing, but like that's the kind of language or the kind of framing that I feel like just trying to shift some of that framing to make the business people working on their business kind of being something that's more I don't know, relatable and accessible.
And creative. I'll just chime in that. I think that was like, oh yeah, this can be a really weird art form.
Fun.
I mean, looking at you development people who love doing development work, there's creativity to it.
Has anyone else in the group come across any other resource like that? Any other way that they've seen kind of the financial end of things presented in a different way that's maybe a little less, I don't know, intimidating, dry? Would this be useful?
I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'll just chime in too. I wasn't in the last meeting for this, but farm viability was something that we were just talking about in our kind of program restructuring, and how to communicate that or how to assess that too. So happily would dive into kind of some more trainings, see kind of what else I can find in our area for other resources. So would love to be involved with this more.
Great. Well, I'm hoping with my new role that these are some things I can take on, and hoping by the end of this week I'll actually have some more clarity. So I will share back with this group what I can offer, and just as you know, really hoping there's some space and maybe even some funding to do some organizing around these things, and also really open to your ideas, you know, if you think of things later. I'd love to like hear from more people on the call. So I don't know if we should just open up the rest of the time, Andrew, to like just announcements or
Yeah, that sounds great. And I also think we can scratch up a little bit of funding to add through the working group. So I think this is definitely an opportunity. But yeah, let's open it up. What are people struggling with, excited about, working on when it comes to some of this farm viability stuff? Sorry to interrupt if someone was like about to jump in. DL, I'll call on you. Just to answer your question, Penny, our collaborative farming model is part of this discussion. Jeffrey, y'all have your new collaborative farming researcher who just put out that really awesome survey and resource guide. I think I've been directing folks to Madeline, who's that new person, or regarding cooperative collaborative farming models. I think that's a really awesome additional capacity in that conversation, and I think there's more to come around all that. Do you anything to add, Jeffrey, on?
Yeah, I mean, it's not formally part of this conversation of farm viability yet, but it is like one of the core reasons that we were exploring it. It's also just to note, I've probably noted this in this group before, but interest in collaborative farming, like sure there is interest in it for sort of the community and sort of team aspects that you get from it. But for most farmers that I've talked to on this topic, they are interested in collaborative farming as sort of a plan B, because going at things as a sole individual farmer, while their overall preference is just inaccessible due to the nature of small farm inviability. So anyways, you know, it's an adaptation, and I think a lot of farmers are interested in it, and obviously our job is to support the sort of interest and direction of farmers, and also, you know, just pointing to still the big picture situation.
Great. G.
Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I'm just pressing the microphone. I don't know. How's that feeling for folks? Yes, no, kind of so.
Maybe.
Good. I don't want to type all this, but I do have things I want to say.
I can understand you. Yeah, if I can try to translate if needed.
There you go. Well, thanks for bearing with my audio issues. Not sure what's going on. I just wanted to echo what Jeffrey was saying, that a lot of the farmers I work with are actually very interested in cooperative models. Both as a way to challenge like existing models that have been put in place that aren't working well for people, and a little too much on the hyper individualistic side of things, as well as folks that would actually prefer to farm on their own, but realize that doing that by themselves is not as viable as farming with others. So just wanted to lift that up. And tying in connection to that, I just wanted to lift up and share the announcement again that the Pathways to Farming program is accepting applications right now. We have 3 open spots, as well as land available here at Unity Farm. And this, again, is an incubator program for BIPOC beginning farmers, which originally was started by Mudbone Grown and now is operated by the food bank, and I manage the program. We offer $4,000 per year as just a straightforward stipend to spend on whatever you need for your farm business. We offer free land and water here at Unity Farm, and that's based on need for the individual applicant, and if the space works well for that farmer. We also do several workshops, farm tours, trainings, which are all decided amongst the cohort about, you know, what folks want to be learning. So it's the whole program is very self-directed by the farmers. There's also one-on-one mentorship that I provide, and coaching, developing businesses, and that can look anywhere from me just coming out and helping you lead, all the way to connecting you with awesome people like Sylvia or Tanya, those network of resources. Happy to provide a tour to anybody that's interested in coming to see the space, or would like to meet with me or talk with potentially one of the farmers in the program. And yeah, just wanted to make that pitch. And then just kind of as a side note, I'm excited to be participating in both the Navigate program as well as the Farm Launch program, both to just kind of mix in and learn more about the offerings from Friends Family Farmers and Rogue Farm Corps, to then extend that to the farmers that I support as well. But then also on my own individual, also trying to figure out how to farm outside of nonprofit world myself. So yeah, just wanted to share that with y'all, and seeing some head nods. I think y'all heard most of that, which is great.
Rich.
Yep. So I just want to put in a plug for the National Farm Viability Conference. For those of you who are not on the mailing list, It's a national event that we hosted here in Oregon that Tanya ran quite marvelously a couple of years ago. And the next conference is going to be in West Virginia at the end of April, beginning of May. And there's currently a call out for proposals for workshop topics. So I want to encourage folks to be thinking about that, see if you can get it into your budget to attend in West Virginia and have a great Oregon showing at the conference.
Awesome. Thanks, Rich.
I kind of just want to circle back to something that Dee said, because it's a little bit more the world I live in. And Andrew were talking about it, like the fact that poor people are never going to be able to afford local food without some kind of subsidy. So really just viability on all levels without nonprofits or government intervention is something that has been weighing on my mind. And if folks ever want to tell me what the solution to that is, I'd love to hear it. Because there's just one simple solution, I'm guessing.
Okay, we'll do a round robin, everyone share their one solution to. No, I think thanks for touching on that, Jen. Yeah. Any other burning thoughts or things that folks are thinking about? Is this, yeah, maybe we can do a as far as this next steps for this group. Tanya and I will connect. We will I think we both internally at OCFSN need to kind of think we're not fully have the details on Tanya's capacity for engaging with this working group at what level. I think we need to have some internal conversations about regularity of this meeting now with these different changes, and that will influence next steps. Also, as Tanya begins to really start getting connected with the RFBC, I think that's going to drive some of the conversations in this space that we can't really report or predict at this moment. So just know that we'll be planning that out. We'll reach out with the next meetings and reporting back to this group on next steps and thinking about how we want to report and gather the information about what skills and programming you all offer and how we report that and share that with the broader RFBC and all that stuff. I feel like, we've been kind of dancing around this conversation for a while now, but I think with this added capacity and these changes, we're in the right direction and more details and organization as this moves forward. So just that kind of framing. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Genevieve, asked a huge question, right? That's like sort of at the heart of both our work and also our work within the food system and thinking about farm viability in this connected way. And so I think, the no answer there was, given the question's largeness, right? But I feel like that is something to kind of come back to in maybe big and small ways as we continue our work. And in some ways, I think we're trying to all answer that in little ways in what we do all the time. But I realize that it's a huge question. I don't know if any of that made sense, but I guess just wanting to make sure that we keep that question in our minds and also are thinking about, what pieces we can affect change in. So maybe it's something to come back to. I mean, it always is, but for our next meeting, with some more thoughts on it. And that long list I shared in the chat is just, sorry, I didn't put a good space there, but to Andrea's question around proposals for the Farm Viability Conference, those are just the topic areas that are kind of within the scope of the conference. So if there's something that you would be interested in sharing on, do consider putting in a proposal. It's a conference that is completely put on by, it's a peer-to-peer event. So there's no, you are an expert with what you know. And so you go and you share it. And yeah.
Nice.
And also just to follow up on that, so some of the content is sort of more traditional top down, but a lot of it is bringing a group of people who are thinking about the similar problems into a room to sort of wrestle with those problems together and see if you can move it forward. And so, some of the topics that are even coming up here, I think would be great conversations to be talking with colleagues across the country. So proposals could not only be like, I'm going to teach you something, but I would love to have a conversation around X, whatever that is, and lead a facilitated discussion around that.
Great. Tomorrow we have a presentation. OCFSN is hosting someone from the National Sustainable Ag Coalition, Billy, who is going to be talking about crop insurance disaster relief programming on the federal level, how it makes farmers less resilient to climate change, how accessing that has been, those programs has not been available for small farmers, underserved farmers. So if y'all are available for that, it's going to be really, I think, Billy's super informed. That's like his whole portfolio with NSAC is crop insurance and disaster programs. So I met with him a week ago and had a lot to learn just in preparing for the presentation. So recommend that. And also it's going to be super informative for OCFSN's disaster resilience grants program that we're in developing right now. So lots happening, and just want to share my appreciation to all y'all for being here in community with us and working through these hard questions. And we'll continue on to the next steps, and I hope you have a really awesome afternoon. Thanks, y'all.
Great to see you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.